and there were many lessons that resonated with me when it came to my leadership interview with Dr. Wolf, a professor in the political science department here at Regent University. Dr. Wolf implements many of the five practices into his leadership skills. For example, when Dr. Wolf stated, planting seeds of thought and stimulating ideas from a different perspective are great ways to generate inspiration of new ideas in others. With this action, he encourages critical thinking in his students by expanding their opinions with facts. Dr. Wolf's method of communication, asking questions from opposing angles, stimulates critical thinking in his students. Moreover, when the student has accomplished the goal, he encourages their hearts with praise and recognition. Another example is when Dr. Wolf mentioned that setting an example is an essential component to his successful leadership capabilities. Dr. Wolf feels it is critical to be an example of what you are asking others to do. And I also follow this ethic. Whether it is personal or professional, I always strive to be the most exemplary model of the group. In my view, when others see a good example, it sets the tone for their own efforts when collaborating in a group setting. By doing this, Dr. Wolf is exercising the model the way practice, developed by Kouzes and Posner, authors of the book Ordinary People, Extraordinary Leadership, which stated the questions you ask should send people on journeys in their minds, journeys to explore. However, I would suggest that Dr. Wolf learn new ways to keep his punctuality, which builds his credibility and trust within his student body. Because the five practices by Kouzes and Posner state that a leader should reflect the values that they expect of the group. For example, Kouzes and Posner claimed the quality and accuracy of communication and the integrity of the decision-making process increases when people feel that they have significant values in common with their colleagues. When it comes to my personal experience with timeliness, I am on the opposite spectrum of Dr. Wolf, as punctuality and time management are two of my strongest assets that have been recognized by others in both my personal and professional life. However, this is not a natural ability of mine, and it was necessary to learn how to build my skills in time management and punctuality through years of determination, dedication, and consistency. Furthermore, Cotter claimed in his book, Leading Change, without a sense of urgency, people will not give out that extra effort that is often essential. In other words, time management requires a sense of urgency to stay on track. My personal success in leadership began with making it a sense of urgency and making that sense of urgency important. Without a sense of urgency, laziness has room to settle in. On the other hand, Dr. Wolf does an excellent job of exercising integrity and virtue when he demonstrates honesty and open communication. Basically, great leaders choose a position and they lead by their actions using virtues and morals as compasses to navigate their choices within their organization, and that will influence others to adopt their actions. Why does this matter? It is important to understand that great leadership comes from great judgment, and adhering to sound judgment produces beneficial results for the organization and its members. When studying millions of people in various positions throughout the world, Seitz, Gans, Crossan, and Reno, authors of the text Character Matters, Character Dimensions Impact on Leader Performance and Outcomes, discovered that people desire to follow those who possess a noble character. And anyone in a leadership position depends on their character for their credibility, which is an important influential factor when it comes to leadership. The knowledge I gained from my interview with Dr. Wolf was to always set the standard by being an example of what your expectation is and exceeding it. According to Comfort, author of the Evidence Study Bible, he explained in Isaiah 32:80. He explained in 32:8, but he who is noble plans noble things, and on noble things he stands. Along the same lines, nobility is the opportunity to create and execute noble plans, plans for good, not evil. When it comes to the five practices, Kouzes and Posner claimed that to practice modeling the way, challenging the process, enabling others to act, encouraging the heart, and illustrating a shared vision results in an exemplary leadership that others will buy into. In comparison, the five practices and Dr. Wolf's view of integrity align with the practices of extraordinary leadership because it fosters teamwork, consensus, and personal effectiveness through ethical behavior. In my personal experience, I follow these practices, but learning about leadership in depth has encouraged me to continue to foster my leadership skills by researching this subject more intentionally. Dr. Wolf demonstrated model the way when he mentioned that emulating great leadership skills was a critical component to his success as a leader. Next, Dr. Wolf practiced challenging the process when he framed questions from different perspectives, which opens the door to critical thinking and channels in others. Third, Dr. Wolf enables others to act by providing them with different tools and perspectives to generate critical thinking. He allows others to defend their arguments fairly. Furthermore, Dr. Wolf creates a shared vision through his effective communication and ability to get students to journey in their mind to find new answers with depth. Next, Dr. Wolf exercises encouraging the heart by recognizing other accomplishments and determination when he provides feedback on his graded students' assignments. Basically, to become an extraordinary leader such as Dr. Wolf, one must possess the ability to encourage the heart in others, which leads to a shared vision that everyone buys into the goal. When it comes to my initial definition of leadership, in my original view, a Christian leader is a person who not only demonstrates care for the whole, but also could influence others to adopt their behavior. For example, in Comfort's Evidence Bible, Matthew 5:14 through 16 commands, "You are the light of the world, a city set on a hill that cannot be hidden. Nor do people light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a stand, and it gives light to all in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father who is in heaven." In other words, as a Christian leader, we are called to many paths of life to be the light to the world, so that others will want to behave as leaders behave to achieve the same light. It is important to lead by example, which is repeated in God's word throughout the entire Bible. After learning about Quasis and Posner's the five practices, I still view leadership under the same scope, but with the understanding the dynamics of how it works rather than it just does work. By deepening my knowledge of leadership, I can improve my collaborative efforts and strengthen my leadership skills. When it came to my Christian Character Index results, all categories but one merited a score above 80%. And I agree with this assessment. Although my lowest score was in gratitude, I am very pleased with my improvement overall in character since last year. I initially took this Christian Character Index quiz my first semester here at Regent University in 2022, and I scored a 23% in gratitude. However, just a year later, I scored a 42%. While this is not the example I want to set, it has motivated me to continue my journey with the Lord by praying for a Christ-like character. I believe by becoming more intimate in my faith, I have been able to double my gratitude level in a relatively short length of time. I am excited to continue my studies in theology, and while the pulpit is not my calling, studying God's Word enlightens me on how to become a Christ-like example by being the salt of the earth. Along the same lines, in the Evidence Bible, Matthew 5:19 states, "You are the salt of the earth, but if the salt has lost its taste, how shall it regain its saltiness? Is no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled under people's feet." Sim- Similarly, exemplary leaders must outwardly display the principles that they advocate for to convince others that the sacrifices are worth ascertaining the goals, because people are more strongly influenced by what they see and not always by what they hear.